Hi, so Collision was last night and we had 3 Continental Classic matches, a few promo segments and just stuff to talk about, so let's go through it. So the opening match of the night was the Continental Classic match in the Blue League. They're all in the Blue League tonight, and it was Orange Cassidy versus Roderick Strong. Now, we obviously had through Dynamite a promo segment where Roderick said he's not part of the conglomeration again and vowed to, break Cassidy's back. And Cassidy asked for a no chops match because of conglomeration rules. I don't know. But a lot of build up, obviously, with, Roddy claiming he's not in the conglomeration. So the match was good. It was a lot of... Roderick was clearly going for Cassidy's back. And I thought Cassidy done well to hold off how long it took. Like, there's a point where Roderick's trying to get the chops in. Roderick's definitely the more aggressive guy. Cassidy just holds them off, with his arm. It's great. And Cassidy Roderick's clearly emotional in the match. It's really good. There's a lot of backbreakers, as you can spell. Cassidy's DDTs are always great, but in this match, they really hit. And honestly, it was a solid match. What you expect kind of from the guys. They didn't really go to it in an 11th degree, but it didn't need to. It kind of sold the whole idea of, we need the match. The guy needs us, to protect his back. The guy got his back hit, but despite not protecting his back all the match, he still defends himself well. He never looks down and out. It was a very even match, and I mean that in a good way, where I kind of didn't know which way it was going to go, and I thought, normally with some matches, you're kind of okay, it's going to go this way, that way. And for a match not to be 110 miles an hour, but also 50-50, it was really good. Honestly, I really enjoyed this one. I thought it was a good opener. And Cassidy got the win. Cassidy got a good roll-up pin. And Roderick looked beside himself. And even at the end, I don't know why people were expecting Roddy to be, respectful to Cassidy when Roddy does not care about the conglomeration. He only cares about Kyle, and Kyle's out at the minute, so they've kind of been running that. So, they kind of made a big deal of, oh, God, Roderick walked out without even, acknowledging Cassidy. Well, yeah, he's not going to. So, yeah, Cassidy got 3 points out of this match. Really solid match, honestly, really good match. And Roderick Strong is still on 0 points. So, after this, we got an update on what's going on with Darby Allin. Now, we found out on Dynamite this week that Darby Allin was not medically cleared for the Continental Classic. And we got an update. He's out of the Continental Classic, unfortunately. And he has been replaced by Jungle Jack Perry. Who I don't know why they added the Jungle on. Just call him Jack Perry or Jungle Boy. But he's taken Darby's place in the Gold League. And it's kind of sad. They show a little vignette of Darby where he's clearly upset that he's not in the Continental Classic and not clear, but he wishes Jack luck and stuff. So that's a thing. After this, we got a small backstage segment with Marina Shafir, Danny Garcia, and Wheeler Yuta, where they're all basically calling out Briscoe, because Briscoe's obviously got the title match with Mark Briscoe and Danny Garcia, sorry. And then what was interesting, well, it was just basically them all calling out saying, Mark, you have to understand the chant. What made me laugh is Danny Garcia just goes, yo, Mark, you're the dumbest person I've ever met in my life. I don't know why, that's just funny. I just love when Danny Garcia's heel work is just, he was okay in the Jericho Society years ago, but this one, I don't know what it is, it's so exaggerated. That CMLL match with Yuta, the tag match, where he's doing the camera, oh my god, he's so extra and exaggerated. I don't know what it is. I just love him. I love Danny Garcia. It was not even long of a promo, but it was just fun. He just makes me laugh. That small line, the stupidest guy I've ever met, is just funny. Now, after this was FTR coming out, after announcing they'd be there against obviously Austin Gunn and Juice Robinson, the Bang Bang Gang. Now, last week's segment was my favourite segment of the night. Honestly, I love the Bang Bang Gang. I really do. I need to make that clear. I didn't realise I've always loved them, but I really loved that segment. I don't know what it was. Austin Gunn, I don't know what, don't touch my belt, just slaps it out. Oh, I loved him. I loved everything about it. And this promo, they call him out, basically, and Austin and Juice come out. And then Dax is just basically giving them grief, saying, who are you? Either Dax or Cash, and they call, they just start disrespecting the pair of them. They call Austin just the son of a Hall of Famer. And then, obviously, they called Juice Mr. Tony Storm, which I thought was alright. Then Austin gets the mic. When Austin gets the mic, I thought it was great, because I really love... Everyone knows how good of a promo FTR and Juice are, but Austin doesn't get a lot of credit for his promo work, and I really like how it went. He said, you're right, I am a son of a carpenter. No, he says, I am a son of a legend, a Hall of Famer, and Juice is a son of a carpenter. He says something of about cash, and then he says, "But you, Dax, you're just the son of a bitch." And it was so smooth how he laid it off. I thought that was great. Then Juice got the mic, started to mention $200,000 yet again. And then after that, they basically challenged them for the belts yet again because, FTR were basically saying they're not worthy, they're not in the same league. But then you kept reminding who beat them last time for the belt. It was the Bang Bang Gang. So they have set this match up for Winter is Coming, I believe. And honestly, I will say this straight up. They should. No, they shouldn't. I want them to. They won't. They definitely won't. But I would really want them to drop the belts to Bang Bang Gang. Because they're so good. Honest to God. I love how entertaining they are, how fun, just everything about them. And if you're not going to push them as singles, give them something to do with the tags. I think there's a great move for them. Yeah, they may not win the belt, but I honestly, I would. I'd give them it just to upset and just maybe just for a week or two for FTR to just go back and destroy them. But this would be FTR's first defense. So I'm gonna get. I would love that. I would love that. I've got bias in it, obviously, but I would love if they gave FTR the loss. But I don't think they will. Now was the next Continental Classic match of the night, which is Claudio versus Mascara Dorada in the Blue League. If you did guess, I'm thrilled. So Claudio versus Dorada was great. Claudio's the lead in the Blue League at this point, and Dorada has no wins. And this match was very simple in terms of how it was portrayed. Claudio was brutal in this match. There was a lot of brutality, but he got tired really quick. He looked banged up still from the Moxley match, but he, a bunch of heavy hitting moves that kept interrupting Dorada. Dorada's speed was clearly the main advantage he had. Claudio got tired around 10 minutes in, and after that point, he just started getting not decimated, but feels like Dorada was just picking at him every single time, and it was all affecting him more and more it went on. It was really good. The speed of these luchadors cannot be understated. The air game from Dorada is obviously always great. A lot of good counters, a lot of good strikes, specifically with Claudio, as you expect. The giant swing, I don't know why in the predictions I predicted, Dorada's going to reverse the giant swing. Then I watched the giant swing this morning, I just thought, how the hell did I think he'd reverse that? But I thought it was great. Dorada, now, I cannot believe I'm about to say this. Dorada got the win. I'm thrilled. Oh, I love him. I love the guy. It was a good splash. Claudio looked shocked. Claudio's first loss, Dorada's first win in the Blue League. Excellent match. Excellent call. I'm just beyond glad that, he got the win. I love that guy. I love that wrestler. So good. They didn't really tie it into much with the CMLL, if it's going to bleed off to something, because I thought it would. They didn't. So maybe that's something they go down the line. Maybe they, jump Dorada another time or whatever, maybe. But I thought it was a fun match. I thought it was a very fun match. I was just glad that Dorada won. Frankly, I thought he did excellent. I thought the fact that they gave him the win was such a sigh of relief. I can't repeat it enough. I'm just glad he won. But solid match. Claudio looked great, but Dorada got the win, and frankly, it was one of those shock wins, and I kind of get why they portrayed it as that, but I feel like you could have got away with, Dorada doing, a bit better, but I don't care. He got the win, and that's all that matters. Now, after this, we got the sit-down segment between the Babes of Wrath, Willow and Harley, and the Timeless Love Bombs, Tony and Mina Shirakawa, and Tony Schiavone, for leading up to the final next week on Dynamite of the Women's Tag Tournament. Now, this segment was kind of what I expected. It was just quite short, quite brief, but what it needed to be. There was respect shown. Tony brought up that, her and Mina are a better tag team, more established, got more of a connection than Willow and Harley. Willow tries to put that over. Tony says, "You've never beaten me, either one of you. I've beaten the pair of you. How do you think you're going to beat me and Mina?" And then there was no animosity. And then I think there was rising tension. And then Mina goes, "Guys, let's raise a glass," and they raise a glass, and that was it. It was kind of a nothing burger of a segment, but at least it existed. Again, I was surprised. One, it was a vignette segment. I thought it would be in the ring, but two, I just still think it should have been Marina and Megan Bayne, but prove me wrong. Gotta be a good match anyway, but whatever. After this was Swerve's segment. Swerve come out, new Titantron, new theme and stuff. The Titantron's just starting with his house burning. Just for Nana gets the spotlight. And then the Swerve comes out. Swerve basically says to the fans it's good to be back. He's been come back, worked his hardest to come back and, be ready for World Championships. And Joe's got it hostage. And he's been trying to find, any of the ops, specifically Hobbs, Shibata and Hawk. And he's just saying they're running away, so let's put it to the test. And then he does mention the Hangman stuff. And then he goes, Hangman, he says, one more thing I need to talk about is Hangman, which is the obvious main point. And he says, me and Hangman, we've never got on, we've never seen eye to eye. But he says, Hangman asks for someone to join him on Dynamite in a match. So what do you say, Hangman? Why don't we do it? And he confirmed the match, Hangman and Swerve versus the Shibata and Hobbs in a tag match. Now, I didn't like that. I thought that was quite silly, I will say, because we saw Swerve's entrance on the Dynamite back, not the one just got on the one before. It was him and Hangman walking side by side. And, yeah, they don't acknowledge each other, but they've had moments where they're literally standing in the ring next to each other side by side, helping each other out. Maybe not directly. Hangman still hasn't mentioned them by name. But it's clear that they have acknowledged it. And then for Swerve to go, why don't we help each other out? Well, no, we've seen you help each other out. We've seen you've got a common ground already. So why don't we go into that instead of let's have one? I didn't really like that, personally. But whatever. So then after that, Josh Alexander comes out, which was surprising to me. And then Josh Alexander saying, look, you've come back and you're asking for, you're saying AEW is your place. It's not. It's Don Callis' house. And why are you demanding a title shot when it should be someone like me who wrestles every week? Fair point. I think that's very fair. And basically, he sets up a match. They're having a match on Cardiff for Collision. I cannot wait. I love Josh Alexander. And I obviously love Swerve. But then during this segment, Shibata just comes in and just takes one hit at Swerve's leg and he goes down. And Shibata just walks off. I don't know why that made me laugh. But yeah, so they announced the match for the Dynamite, which is Swerve and Hangman versus the Ops, and then obviously the collision match with Josh Alexander and Swerve. That could be fun. I didn't like how the avenue they went down of let's team up instead of we're already teaming up. You could have went into that maybe not like they've teamed up, but they could have just spoke about we've stuck side by side. I come out and we both beat off the Ops. We teamed up to beat them. So I didn't get that personally, but either way, the point was of the segment. Let's just talk about what's happening. Swerve's back, essentially. And it was solid promo, as you expect from Swerve. So, he does say, obviously, last time Joe had the title, it was him who beat him. Very true. That's how Swerve made... I like the line, I made history off your back. I love that. I thought that was a great line. And, yeah, I'm looking forward to the Swerve and Hangman stuff. Hopefully, we get more of a acknowledgement of what the hell happened the last 2 weeks with them two, but whatever. So, after this, we got Mercedes backstage. And Mercedes is clearly still upset from losing her Ring of Honor belt, and she has a match for tonight against Layla Gray. And she's just kind of upset about that, and then the match obviously goes straight into the match. I like how the belts were on a table in this same sign of a dollar. I thought that was kind of cool. I prefer the men holding them, but I kind of like that substitute. And I will say from Mercedes, she was really vicious in this match. Layla Gray she had a point, there's some points where she obviously got some offense in. But Mercedes was just, you could tell there was a bit more venom and everything. She was a bit more brutal. And I kind of liked it. Even visually, she looked a lot more brutal. She weren't doing the cockiness. She weren't doing the CEO stuff as much. It was very serious. She's clearly starting to crack. I think. And I wouldn't be surprised if they start doing the belt stuff. She takes out Christopher Daniels when they're having the match, when they go outside. Stuff like that. And towards the end, it was quite very unfortunate. Layla Gray looked good here. But I think she falls funny on her knee or her ankle or something. It looked like she really hurt herself. But they worked it into the finish soon as. So I assume it was an injury. But I don't know if it was something that they, was going to finish the match on anyway or whatever. But, she hurt herself and they got the pin straight away. So I assume Mercedes will win anyway. But I hope Layla Gray's okay, frankly. Solid match with Mercedes. I thought she'd retain anyway. I don't think this TBS one would be the next one up. But I think there's clearly signs of decay from Monet. That rhymed. And honestly, I liked how vicious she was. I hope we get this again. I feel like if you run some matches back, if they run Statlander back with this type of brutality from Monet, I don't say Mercedes should win. But stuff like that, I'd kind of like it. I really enjoyed how it was just different. There was a lot more in it. She was a lot more... There was less time for breathe for the opponents. Not that Mercedes gives them time, but, She was more just trying to get it over with, you know. Even after the match, what happens is she gets her in the, I think it's the statement maker, the hold, the crossface essentially. And Layla Gray taps, but then Mercedes doesn't let go, and it's just like, hang on a minute. And then Christopher Daniels comes out and pushes her out, and then I think she kicks Christopher Daniels. And then she goes to the commentary table, and she just rips the headset off Shibari. And she goes, did you see that? I won. You know, clearly starting to crack. After this match, we got a backstage segment with Eddie Kingston, where he's just basically going on about how everything Eddie's been through. Regular Eddie promo where he just goes through what he's been through, and, you know, for people like Joe, it's nothing, right? So stuff like that, I kind of like that. I thought that was really fun. Not really much to say about that promo, but it's solid Eddie promo as you expect. After this, we got a backstage segment where the Sisters of Sin, or the Triangle of Madness, sorry, were attacking a bunch of women in the locker room. I didn't know who they were. I think they were just all jobbers. And they were asking, where's Statlander, where's Jamie Hayter, calling them out. And they obviously didn't find them, so it was just one of those call-out segments. They do the unison voice, Sky Blue and Julia Hart again. I just don't like it. I just think it's dumb. Now, after this, we got the match that wasn't announced when I done my predictions and stuff, was the Ricochet versus Ace Austin match for the AEW National Belt, which Ricochet won recently and defended against Dalton Castle his first time. I will say, I did not know how over Ace Austin was with crowds. This crowd was a Galaxy Con, and I kind of liked it. It was definitely a smaller venue, but I like that. And just, I was really surprised about how over Ace Austin was. People were really chanting. People wrote signs for Ace Austin. And I was like, I like Ace Austin, don't get me wrong. I think that we've barely seen the guy. But what I've seen, I like him. And he's obviously part of the Bang Bang Gang. If anything, I think like we've kind of not seen enough of him. But he was really over. And I think it was a preemptive thing too. So with this, the match was fun. The match was insanely fast paced. I didn't expect to enjoy this match as much as I did. It was so fast. The sequences, they had the first 5-10 minutes of this match was just insane speed. Insane. Ace Austin was getting Ricochet. Ricochet goes out to the fans, rips a sign up as he does, saying Ace Austin is inevitable. That's kind of his name. Rips that up. Gives Ace Austin a paper cut between the fingers with the sign he rips up. That's insane. I love that. Ricochet is just ridiculously entertaining. Ace Austin looked great here. He really did. There was a point where he had Ricochet kind of banged to rights, and the ref gets in the way for some reason. I didn't get that. And then he goes in the corner, and then GOA basically take his attention, and they never, because Ricochet went out to get the bell hammer actually, and then whatever. Oh yeah, Ricochet gets the bell hammer, goes up to get Ace Austin. The ref gets in the way, and then Ace Austin gets attacked or distracted by one of the GOA. I think it was Toleona, and then gets distracted. Ricochet takes him out with a low blow, but the match still continues. After that point, the match kind of died out in terms of speed, but the speed they were going at, it was never sustainable. It was ridiculous. Cannot emphasize that enough. Ace Austin again looks so good. I really like how Ace Austin looked here. But main thing is Ricochet retained the belt, as you kind of expect. Not a lot of interference besides that point with the GOA. But then after this, FTR out of nowhere come out and attack Ace Austin, which the link is obviously the Bang Bang Gang. I loved how they did that. I really did. Feels like they've kind of distanced Ace Austin from Juice and Austin Gunn. So I'm kind of glad that they kind of, established that is still a thing. And then Austin and Juice come out, saved Ace, and then they stood off, outside the ropes, chased FTR out. So just building more hype for that match, I'm all for. But again, the match itself was one of the matches of the night. It would have been match of the night if it wasn't for the main event, which, shock. But as a match, it was phenomenal. I was kind of disappointed this one wasn't announced preview-wise, because I would have 100% expected to enjoy this match, but not as much as it did. This really surprised me, and I hope, honestly, we get a lot more Ace Austin. I really think that's the one guy who's come in, since all the signings that AEW's made this year, Ace Austin feels like the one they've kind of not utilised the most. He was on the Ring of Honor card, so that might be why he's so over and stuff, but I don't really watch ROH. I just wish we get more Ace. I feel like that's a great guy to have. I would like to see Ace in the TNT scene too. I feel like that's a good scene for him. Ace Austin versus Briscoe, especially after this showing. Instantly, all for. And even then, you've still got the Bang Bang Gang. You could make them go down the trios route, but I feel like that's more of a main event thing, and they're not going to do that yet. But really good match. Another second defense for Ricochet. And yeah, going on about Ace, Ricochet, you should know, is phenomenal. So the main event was Jon Moxley versus Konosuke Takeshita in the Blue League. And I believe this is a first match between the two. But my God, what a match. I thoroughly enjoyed this. I thought this was an excellent, easily match of the night. And that's saying something because that Ricochet versus Ace Austin was phenomenal. This was insanely good. Really enjoyed this. I will say going into it, I forgot how big Takeshita is. I thought Moxley would be taller, but Takeshita's so deceivingly big. The match starts with them two just trying to do lockups and stuff, but then goes into a strike-off. I love that. I love how they played into... So the main story of the match essentially is who's got the stronger ankle. Because Moxley's ankle's still hurt from Takeshita, from the Claudio match. And Moxley gets put through it. He's at one point can't even stand. Stuff like that. Like the ankle lock Takeshita gets him in looks brutal. He gets him some backbreakers. There's one point where Takeshita puts his leg and does the pole thing and starts whacking it on the stairs, stuff like that. Excellent. Takeshita looks really in control. There's points where Moxley obviously fights back with the hard hit and stuff. I like the point where it's like this small shot where Moxley's in the corner because of his ankle giving out, and Takeshita's standing looking at him. It's just like it really I felt a bit fired up for Moxley at that point. I thought it was excellent. I thought this match was really good. I didn't expect anything less. I really hope we get another interaction between these two. I really think with this match too, I think what they somehow managed to sell was Takeshita. So Moxley somehow turns it back around to attack Takeshita with his ankle and really hits Takeshita's ankle. And I thought that was fun. There's a small part of the match where they both, I think it was both after they hit each other, with the clothesline. They both connect, so they're both sitting there. And Takeshita hit him with something, and then they both get up, like Undertaker and Brock Lesnar, where Undertaker got up and starts laughing at Brock. It was like that, but Moxley was like, oh, and just gets up. Moxley was feral as hell in this match. I loved how feral he was. I thought he was excellent. I thought Moxley's just entire sell of everything was perfect. I think how he sold, just how he continually getting bested by Takeshita, but also just his expression of pure anger. It wasn't really hate, just anger and feral. It was the exact word, is feral. I love when Moxley gets feral, and when he gets angry, frustrated. After Takeshita done that thing with the post with his ankle, he's screaming, take the chewy out, and just throws it. I love that. I love stuff like that. The finish was, towards the match, I will say, he hits a stomp, which looked brutal on Takeshita. Moxley hits a stomp on Takeshita, which looked absolutely brutal. And then there was also a point where Takeshita, they're outside the ring, and Takeshita goes to the commentary desk to obviously take the thing off so they can put Moxley through it. And the table just collapses. So I don't know if that was the plan or not, but he just looks at it, he just looks pissed off. He just goes, I'm going to leave it. But he still goes and gets to Moxley and puts Moxley through the already broken desk, which makes it look much worse. But I don't know if that was the plan or not, but it made it look it was much better. I really enjoyed that. The finish was Takeshita had Moxley down in the ring, and Moxley's just basically waiting for the take, and basically he's stunned on his knees, and Takeshita just goes, screams and hits the knee, and then he gets him in I forget what his move is called, the finisher, the burning something, or the thing of fire. I forget the exact name. I was going to call it the burning hammer. That's Kiboshi's. Takeshita's the second coming into Kiboshi. But Takeshita gets the win as expected. This is exactly the match I mean when I want someone to look in control. I love this type of stuff, and I thought that was excellent. I thought this match was phenomenal. I really did. I think this is not the best match of the C2 so far, but definitely up there. I really enjoyed this match. And Takeshita got the win. The Death Riders come out at the end. I thought something was going to happen, but the broadcast ended, so I don't think it did. But they're clearly teasing something with the Death Riders and the Don Callis family. And with Takeshita and Moxley on the verges of both leaving, it feels like that's a very interesting angle to go. But yeah, Moxley versus Takeshita delivered on all cylinders. And honestly, Takeshita versus Claudio should be soon. That's going to be somehow on the same level, because good God. So yeah, that was Collision this week. I thought it was really fun. I thought the only real thing I had to gripe with was obviously the swerve, just what he said, but everything, the matches were great. Again, Dorado won, so that's my main happiness for the week. I will put up the Gold League standings for the Continental Classic now. And now here's the Blue Leagues, which was obviously the main thing for tonight. I thought Collision was excellent. Again, Moxley versus Takeshita was just phenomenal. And the build stuff, I thought the build for the Bang Bang Gang versus FTR stuff was excellent too. So what did you think of Collision this week? And what was your favourite match tonight? Because honestly, all three, really, the Continental Classic matches were excellent. So looking forward to what people think. And honestly, your thoughts on Moxley Takeshita, because I feel like that was top draw stuff.